Hello again, everybody. I'm Retro Trip, and welcome to another edition of HU Roundup. And today we are very honored and to introduce you to the new softball coach at New Mexico Highlands. That, of course, is Kevin Jannusch. Kevin, welcome, man. How you been? How's things going?
Things are good, Richard. Glad to be with you. Thanks for having me.
No, not a problem, man. Welcome aboard. Welcome to New Mexico Highlands. Welcome to Las Vegas, New Mexico, of course. You had much of a chance to get down to Vegas lately, or not yet?
I haven't been. Well, it's funny. I actually am 2-0 on campus. I was at Mesa State as an assistant a few years ago, and so I've been to Vegas. But obviously, with the virus and everything, everything's kind of been virtual on this little journey. So I'm excited to get to town.
You know, man, why don't you introduce yourself? Let our alumni, let our great Highlands University fans, get to know you a little bit. Tell us a bit about yourself.
Sure. I'm from Maroa, Illinois, which is a little farm community just north of Decatur in central Illinois. Population 1,700. I was a two-sport athlete in high school, football and baseball. Played for 3 state titles, 2 in football, 1 in baseball. Then played college football for a couple of years, first at Nebraska Wesleyan, then at Millikan, which is near my hometown, and an ACL injury kind of took me out of that. So got into softball in the mid-90s and kind of worked my entry level to the sport was at the women's major level, which was, at the time, it was as high as it got. I was kind of lucky to be there. Didn't do a whole lot of coaching, just did a whole lot of cheering of those kids, and they were all just a little bit younger than I was at the time. Got into college softball from there. Cut my college eye teeth in Texas for the most part. First job was at Texas State. I was at St. Edwards. My first head coaching job was at Incarnate Word. And then I was there for 5 years, kind of helped turn that program back on its feet. And then ended up at Ashford University, which was an NAI school in Clinton, Iowa. And our last year on campus was 2016. They shut the doors, and we had about a year's notice. So we went out in style there and won the conference tournament for the first time and went to the national tournament at Ashford. And since then, I've kind of been trying to find my right fit. I spent the last year at NAIA Missouri Valley. It was a great opportunity for me. I'm very thankful for that opportunity. Enjoyed it a lot. And then this opportunity came along, and I was excited to see it open and more excited to be named the next coach.
When I was doing the research or the homework, and I did notice your hometown, and I Googled it, put it up on Google Maps, and I wondered, this is actually, Coach, your hometown, no disrespect, is in the middle of nowhere, actually. It's 150 miles from here, 150 miles from here. I kind of looked at it and says, well, you're somewhere between Champaign and Chicago, as far as major city goes. So growing up in a small town, coming to Las Vegas, pretty much you're used to that kind of stuff.
Yeah, well, compared to my little town of 1,700, Las Vegas is New York. So, but I've spent my career in big cities, Austin, San Antonio, and then little towns too, like Clinton, Iowa, and Marshall, Missouri. I have to say, I hope he watches, but I'm a big St. Louis Cardinals fan, so me and Dr. Minner, I think, are going to get along just fine. We'll have something common right away. We'll be cheering the Redbirds on for looks like 60 games. But yeah, small town, I'm kind of used to it. I've adapted to both and excited to be in Las Vegas.
You mentioned earlier how you were a two-sport letterman, football and baseball. Then you kind of said, I kind of got into softball. How did that happen exactly? Tell us how that happened, how you made the transition.
Oh, gosh. I don't think your 30-minute show is going to be long enough. So, well, fast pitch where I'm from, was a fairly big deal as I was growing up. We had men's league. So, for us, even in my little town of Maroa, and then maybe more so in Decatur, which was nearby, it was kind of like our minor league baseball. We didn't have minor league baseball. So, the crowds went to go watch the fast pitch teams, and we had world-class teams in Decatur and a pretty good team in my little town in the 70s. So so growing up, it was always kind of around, and I could always pitch a little bit. And I never really pitched competitively, but I could always, tool around and do it a little bit. And then when I got out of my post-traditional college years, our town hosted the women's major tournament for a couple of years. The first year, the first year I really got around the sport administratively, I did the public address for it. And it was fun and great. And Mike Hayes from my little town of Maroa, Forsyth was my high school. He asked me to come do the PA for his team. And then the next year they put me on the coaching staff. So I was around some world-class athletes, Lisa Fernandez and Dot Richardson, and some pioneers in our sport right from the very, very beginning. So I went from kind of being a businessman to doing PA work while I was still doing business. And then into coaching just like that. So it kind of happened in a flash, and I was at the right place at the right time in a lot of ways. And I've been lucky to be around a lot of great people in this sport and have learned a lot of good stuff. So I feel real fortunate. It's been a pretty wild ride at times, but hopefully this will be the last stop.
I must say, Coach, and I'll compliment to you, I've been reading some of those remarks that people have been, talking about you. Chad Kerr at Panhandle State sent me a message on my Facebook 2 weeks ago when he found out you were hired and said, "Great hire. It's a steal." I don't know how familiar you are with Chad Orr at Panhandle, but obviously he's a good friend of yours.
Yeah.
I heard the head coach down at New Mexico State singing your praises. You're pretty well known around this area. Like you say, you were at Mesa. But just reading those things, you're not really a stranger around here in the softball world.
I think what you're really saying, Richard, I'm old is what you're probably saying. I've been around a while. Like I said, I've been lucky to be around some good people. Coach Rudolph at New Mexico State and I competed against each other when she was at Angelo State and I was at Incarnate Word, and so that's how I know her. I've been lucky. I mean, there's no doubt I've had a stroke of luck, and I had a high school coach, one of my, I guess, mentors, who used to tell us all the time, Fred Thompson, rest in peace. He used to say, luck is just when opportunity matches up with preparedness. And I kind of feel like that's where I've been. And the one thing that kind of is very familiar to me with Highlands is the fact that I've taken a couple teams almost in identical situations and been lucky enough to kind of turn around. Good recruiting, is probably obviously one of the biggest keys, but we've been able to turn around and get to the national tournament in a few years after we come on. So, as long as you surround yourself with good people, I think good things are going to happen.
Hey, no doubt. Coach, we're going to take our first break. When we come back, more with the new softball coach at New Mexico Highlands, Mr. Kevin Jannusch. Talk about New Mexico Highlands and what can we expect. Coming up, segment 2 of the HU Roundup.
What do you need in a university? For me, it was never really about being a number, another face in the crowd. I needed something more. A university dedicated to anticipating my needs through support could offer me a sense of belonging and promise me loyalty. This is where those ideas are possible. This is where those ideas are true. Unfazed by our differences and driven by our goals, we all work as one cohesive unit, as a community. We are the movers and shakers, inventors and innovators, future leaders and glass ceiling breakers, with classrooms that feel like home and professors who feel like family. Together we rally, explore, and rejoice. We learn about the world, about each other, about ourselves. While leaping over expectations, we push ourselves to move forward, together.
Welcome back to segment 2 of the HU Roundup. We're joined by the softball coach, Coach Jannusch. But before we get back to Coach, just a little announcement I'd like to make. The 1981 RMAC champion in Mexico Highlands University football team would like to meet with people, especially members of the 81 team, who would like to order memorabilia from back in the year of 1981. And if you want to know more about what's going on with the team from 81, you can contact Coach Rod over at Cibola High School, former HU Cowboy. And the email address is capital R, that's SJICE 78@AOL.com. Contact Coach Rod. He'll fill in with more details. That's the 1981 RMAC championship team for the Mexico Highlands. Let's get back to our guest here, Coach Jannusch. Again, welcome to Las Vegas. Welcome to New Mexico Highlands. You kind of gave us a bit of background. So now let's look ahead. Let's look at New Mexico Highlands. What is it, that enticed you? Like you said, it's an opportunity. You kind of feel like, I've been through this before, but what enticed you about it?
Well, I think there's opportunity there. Like I said, I have experience in this situation. Through the process, the committee that was in charge of the interviews and Coach Ewing both were like, there's talent here, and they felt like the train just needed to be put on the tracks, and that's kind of what we'll do. I don't know that it's completely fair for me to tell you exactly what I know we have, because I don't know. And until we get on the field and see what's kind of going on, you can tell a little bit as far as stats and that kind of stuff. It looks like there's a little bit of offense. Right. Pitching is going to be a concern, right away. So we'll concentrate on that with who we have. We'll make assessments on what's needed and go out and find the pieces that are needed. I think the virus presents a pretty interesting, situation from the standpoint that scholarships are going to be limited because players might decide to stay and play that year that they're afforded back by the NCAA. But all that stuff we'll decide down the road. I think the most important thing is to get there and just meet the kids and develop relationships. We've already been talking on FaceTime. I think I've talked to almost everybody, getting pretty close. And we've had a couple Zoom calls with the whole group. And really it's just a matter of getting to know them and seeing, how they feel about things and doing what's best for them. Over the years, I've realized that what's most important isn't necessarily the wins and losses. It's making sure that everybody's in a good space. And I think that's, kind of the key of what we'll do right off the bat.
Coach, just in our early conversations here, the thing that jumps out at me is your enthusiasm. You got that engine running, brother. That motor's going. Is that the way Coach is, or what is this? I'm getting old, from that standpoint. And it's funny. I think my style, I think, is for the kids to always be hype and to be excited and to jump around. You won't see me doing a lot of jumping around. First of all, I'm a big dude, and that's just not conducive to my knees and my whatever else. And so, but I want them to be excited. So practice probably going to be a little bit more spirited for me than I will be in games. I want, I always, want them to stay even and on an even keel and let them do all the jumping around and stuff. But definitely the mind's always spinning. We're always thinking about ways to get there and really do what's best by our players. That's really the key to me. It's, over the years, I've kind of shifted my attitude towards that and make sure that, I don't think everybody's always going to be happy. I think that's fair to say that there's going to be, going to be players that will be thrilled and those that aren't so thrilled. And that's kind of the way that goes. I learned long ago that every player wants you to play the best 8 players and them. Right. And so, you have to kind of do your best to make sure everybody knows their position and everybody knows their spot on the team. And I'm not saying that everyone should settle for it, but we have 20 plus kids on the roster, and only about 12 of them are going to play all the time, or at least what they would consider full time. And and then the other 8, you have to kind of figure out, how do you make them understand 8 plus? Really, we're going to have more than 20. So how do you make them understand that they're a key part of our success, and whether they're keeping statistics or keeping charts or whatever, the bullpen catcher all the way to the starting pitcher. Everybody's important. And if there's a weak link in there, it's going to be really hard for us to reach our potential. So we'll work on that.
and try to have people understand kind of what their roles are as soon as they become clear. That's what the fall's for. And we'll play it that way if we're allowed to be on the field.
Let's talk about that just for a quick second, just kind of test the knowledge a little bit. What have we heard? What has changed? What has the NCAA or the RMAC kind of done? And what do you know so far about what you can do? I don't want us to look at it and say if we better play or not play. Just at the present moment, what is it are you allowed to do? And is there a possibility to get on the field in the fall?
I think there is a possibility to get back on the field. I'm not the guy to talk to as far as what's completely been decided, but I will say first of all, I think the NCAA has their hands full with the fall and in the winter. Obviously, football and men's and women's basketball are always going to be major sports in almost in every school. I shouldn't say in every school, but NCAA wide. And so their main thing is, what's that going to look like and what are the contingency plans? I've let it be known to Coach Ealing and to our players that we will do exactly what we're told to do. If they want us to wipe down the ball after every fungo, we'll wipe down the ball after every fungo. If they want us to work in groups of three, we'll work in groups of three. If we can practice full team, we will. But I feel like that there's an order to this thing, and I don't think it's Armageddon. I don't think it's the end of the world. It may, who knows? It may end up happening. We don't play for a year, but that wouldn't be the worst thing in the world if it means keeping our players safe. And I think that's the bottom line. And I do not feel one bit for the school presidents and the school athletic directors for what they're going through. I can't imagine. But I'm ready to do our part, however little or however big that is. And the minute that I feel or anybody above me feels like we're putting our student athletes at risk, then we'll do exactly what we're told to do.
Coach, we got another break coming up, and we come back on the HU Roundup. We have that great segment in the saddle towards the end of our program that we'll get Coach involved in. But first, let's take a break. We'll come back with segment 3 of the HU Roundup.
What do you need in a university? For me, it was never really about being a number, another face in the crowd. I needed something more. A university dedicated to anticipating my needs through support could offer me a sense of belonging and promise me loyalty. This is where those ideas are possible. This is where those ideas are true. Unfazed by our differences and driven by our goals, we all work as one cohesive unit. As a community, we are the movers and shakers, inventors and innovators, future leaders and glass ceiling breakers, with classrooms that feel like home and professors who feel like family. Together we rally, explore, and rejoice. We learn about the world, about each other, about ourselves. While leaping over expectations, we push ourselves to move forward, together.
Hey, Cowboy and Cowgirl fans, Richard Tripp here. Hey, don't forget to visit our new Cowboys and Cowgirl store online. Go to nmhuathletics.com, click on the link, and order your apparel for New Mexico Highlands University Cowboys and Cowgirls. Welcome back to segment 3 of the HU Roundup. I'm Richard Tripp. And do not forget, first of all, I'd like to thank everybody for whether you're watching on the NMHU Athletics page, maybe you're watching on YouTube, maybe you're watching on Twitter, whatever it is, thank you very much for watching. And don't forget also to go to the nmhuathletics.com website, and you can order your Highlands University attire, much like I'm wearing here today. They got great polos, t-shirts, sweat tops, they have cups, hats, name it. nmhuathletics.com, scroll down, find the link, and order your HU apparel ASAP. So let's get back to Coach Jannusch here on the HU Roundup. Coach, we're talking about, before we went to break, what if, what not on the NCAA. But let's talk about you. Let's talk about the coach. You're going out recruiting. What do you look for? What are you looking for in these athletes that you can bring to Las Vegas?
Yeah, that's a good question. As far as, first of all, I think you have to have a minimum level of talent to play at this level. If you don't have it, it doesn't matter. so there's got to be that, but there are some things that are equally or maybe more important. And we want kids that hustle, we want kids that are athletic, we want kids that have good attitudes and good family and a good background, and all those things are stable. One thing that I've always kind of what I've come to find out over time is that the kids that are good students make great recruits. If they take care of themselves in the classroom, then they probably take care of themselves on the field and social media wise and on the track and in the weight room. And that's important. There's a lot of things to do to be a college coach, probably far more than what there was when I first got into the business. And so, my day's pretty structured, both on and off the field. So to find kids that can kind of take care of things and are self-motivated is important to kind of move things along. But, most importantly, we have to find kids that are, that have the ability to win, both physically and mentally. And that's kind of what we look for. And that's what we'll be looking for as we go forward.
We know that you've been at Mesa State, so obviously you're familiar with the RMAC. You're no stranger to it. And Mesa State actually is one of the better, softball programs around. You start there. But I guess that also when you're recruiting, that also has to be a little bit of a fit. How can we compete with these girls or this girl at this level, going up to Mesa, going up to Adams, going up to wherever it is? Is that important to you, knowing the conference?
Yeah, I think so. I've been at NAI schools the last few years of my career, and there's definitely a difference in talent level that you got to have. And who may have been an all-conference player for us at either Ashford or even at Missouri Valley may not be a starter at the Division II level, or at least on the championship level. So I think you up your visions as far as that goes, and you look for a more special athlete as far as physical talents are concerned. Colorado Mesa won the thing a couple years ago, and so they're tough. I really think the three teams to beat in the conference are to aspire to are Colorado Mesa, Colorado Christian, and Metro. Once you get up into that area, then it's a different mountain. I think you really have two kind of tiers to climb. The first one's throughout the maze of the conference, and then there's the last 3 or 4 teams. You might want to throw 1 or 2 more teams in there, but certainly I respect the conference and I respect the coaching staffs that are in it, and so we'll definitely be looking for players that we feel like can beat teams in the conference, and that's the goal.
I've seen your resume. Everywhere you've been, you have built that program. 290, I believe, career wins, if I'm not mistaken, somewhere on there. Very good resume. Do you kind of take it as approach of the ladder system, where the first year we want to be here, second year here, third year, or you want kind of like feel, hey man, we're going to jump into this thing and we want to be able to compete right now? What is your take on that?
I think it doesn't serve anybody well to say that we're going to be national champions in the next couple of years. I don't know that it's fair to the players on the team or the players that are going to come here. I think what's most important is to control our effort and to control our attitude. That's kind of cliche-ish, and I understand that, but I believe that. If we're playing as hard as we can, I don't care if we go 2-50, as long as we're playing as good as we can. All that other stuff, the winning will come and the championships will come, and we've been able to take that approach and use it, and we've refined it over years. I mean, it wasn't perfect in the beginning, and it's never really going to be perfect. But to be honest, and I told the players this the other day on our very first Zoom call. I said, to be honest, we win 10 games next year, we're probably headed in the right direction. That doesn't sound really good. It's not real sexy, but from a standpoint of realistic, and I think when you make goals, they have to be attainable, they have to be realistic. And so, if we shoot for 10 and win 15, then we overachieve. I don't want to shoot for 40 and win, 15 and be disappointed. Or even, shoot for 40 and win 20 and be disappointed. We'll get there. I promise we'll get there. It's just a matter of doing it from a standpoint that is fair to the players that are on this roster, and again, the players that come, and it all goes back to when you can recruit, when players decide that they're going to retire, and when you're able to get players in that'll help you be a little better. So I don't think it's a huge rush. At the same time, everybody loves to win, and I like to win, and so we'll win.
When you go recruiting, we got a couple of minutes left and we'll get into, in the saddle. When you go recruiting really quick, Coach, what's your number one selling pitch? What do you want? What do you want the parents and those players to hear?
Yeah, I've been to a lot of different schools with a lot of different attributes, some great, some not so great. You know, even at Ashford, when I drove up, I'm like, this place looks kind of scary to me. I don't know. It's probably not the prettiest campus. You know, when I was at Ashford, all due respect, it was my favorite place to work eventually. But I got advice from a coach, the women's soccer coach there, Mick Regan, who told me, he said, we recruit to our players. We recruit to our kids. You know, our kids are the special part. You know, and I think that that's true. And players, when they come, have to get along with the people they're going to be around with the most, and that's the other team, the other teammates. So that's definitely what we'll do. And right away, when we start talking recruiting, we'll let our players know that they're as big a part of this as the coaching staff. I mean, right. You know, we're just there to guide and lead, and they're the ones that have to live with each other and like each other. And over the years, I've had, you know, my own players come and say, Coach, she's not right for us. You know, and she may be the best player we've seen this year, but she's not right for us personally. Right. You know, and off the field. So that's important. And you know, that's kind of the mode or the, you know, what we'll follow. That's the plan that we'll follow.
Well, Coach, we're ready for the segment entitled In the Saddle. We're going to put Coach to work here and find out some of his favorite things and other things. Are you ready, Coach?
Let's go.
I'm going to start you off. You know, we have a tradition where we start you off, but you haven't been around Las Vegas that often. We usually ask this question: red chili or green chili? I know you've had chili before up in Colorado.
Well, in San Antonio too. That's, you know,
San Antonio.
No right. Definitely. Well, I'm from the Midwest though, so red chili's for me.
Hotter or mild?
Hot's fine.
Fishing or hunting?
Oh gosh, I hate to say it, neither.
I got you. Snow,
neither.
Snow or rain?
Not snow. Anything but snow.
Your favorite pro athlete?
Probably currently Ezekiel Elliott, but I'm a Cardinals fan. Dr. Menner, shout out to you. Albert Pujols for sure.
Hey, Ozzie Smith is my all-time favorite, so I can't say
good
anything.
For you.
And yes,
Good
I am
twist.
a Cowboys fan, but anyway. Your favorite quote?
Control the controllables.
Your hero?
My dad.
Your favorite sporting event?
Good one. The World Series, as long as the Cardinals are in it.
Two more, Coach. Your biggest strength?
Experience.
Your weakness?
Experience.
Okay, Coach. Now, here's what I want you to do. I want you to take this final minute. I want you to tell the people at New Mexico Highlands a little bit about what we can expect coming up. You got the floor, Coach.
Thanks, Richard. I appreciate being here. I'm excited to get to Las Vegas and be part of the community. You know, the softball team will be present in that community. You know, we'll make sure that we're out and do our part. You know, as far as on the field is concerned, you can expect a brand of softball that'll include good pitching, solid defense, timely hitting. That's how you win ball games, and we're ready to get in this and ride together.
I love it, Coach. In fact, that is pretty much the hashtag. Let's ride, Coach. I want to thank you very much for coming on. By the way, I'm a great Ozzie Smith fan, but I'm also a big Dodger fan, so we'll leave it at that. But Coach, you and I will talk some more, I'm sure. I want to thank you for coming on the show. Good luck to the Cowgirls this year. Hopefully, good luck to the Cowgirls this year, and good luck to you, Coach. Appreciate it very much.
Thanks for having me, Richard.
That's going to do it for another segment of the HU Run. I'd like to thank Coach Jannusch for coming on. Until next time, I'm Richard Tripp. Peace, everybody. We're out.